Cloud extension will allow where we will be covering cloud migration. The objective to this fourth lesson where we will be covering cloud migration. The objective for this lesson is to familiarize you with HCX components and features, identify use cases for hybrid cloud extension, familiarize you with installation requirements, and then some of the things that you might want to test for HCX as part of this proof of concept. Now, if you ever stumble into the use case of migrating workloads to the cloud, hybrid cloud extension is your solution, especially because how versatile it is, and now that it is included into the price with VMware Cloud on AWS. What hybrid cloud extension would allow you to do is give you the ability to migrate workloads from on-premises over to VMware Cloud on AWS and back, and is much more versatile in regards to the version of vSphere. As opposed to hybrid link mode, you will need to have version 6.0 update 3. This could pose some challenges to some of the customers that are running older versions of vSphere. So, for example, with HCX, you can run HCX, and if you are running vSphere 5.x on premises. Now, again, with HCX, you can do a live migration without having the need to have a direct connection. And this is due thanks to the SD-WAN optimization technology built within HCX. So obviously there's quite a bit of features that come with HCX and a lot of components, and I'm not going to give you a full overview of HCX. That will be up to you to have that particular workshop with your customer prior to you deploying your software-defined data center and enabling the HCX feature. So one thing that you do have to verify for your proof of concept is decide how are you going to configure HCX. And this usually falls under 3 different conceptual architectures. If you have a customer that has a proliferation of SDDCs and they would like to consolidate into one SDDC on VMware Cloud on AWS, you can do that as part of your proof of concept. Or maybe you want to do the opposite. You want to go from one on-premises environment into multiple SDDCs into the cloud. When it comes to application mobility, you might want to migrate certain applications out of your on-premises data center, or you might want to just get out of the data center altogether. So one thing that you have to note for the proof of concept is that you are not going to be migrating an entire data center. So you want to make sure that you have workloads available on premises for you to test migrating to VMware Cloud on AWS and back. You don't want to be stuck once HCX has already been deployed, configured, working, but you don't have an application for you to test. So you want to make sure that your schedule permits for you to actually do a migration or maybe do a layer 2 extension. Now, obviously, there's a couple of components that you have to install with HCX, and this includes the HCX Enterprise Manager, the WAN optimization appliance that allows us to do a live migration without having the need to have a dedicated circuit back to VMware Cloud on AWS, as well as the layer 2 extensions and the interconnect appliance. Now, we're not going to go into details again into what every single one of these appliances are doing. However, you do have to familiarize yourself with the requirements to installing such components as on premises. Again, this is an add-on service, which means that the HCX components automatically get installed on the cloud side. You will have to do the heavy lifting and installing these components on the on-premises side. So make sure that your network engineers and your firewall engineers are aware of the requirements to connect those components from on-premises back to VMware Cloud on AWS. In this slide, I'm just giving you some of the network requirements, such as having port 443 connectivity, UDP 500 and 4500 ports available back to your VMC. Now, there are 2 ways of deploying your software-defined data center and connecting them back to VMware, back into VMC. One of them is over the internet, and the other one is over Direct Connect. Over the internet and Direct Connect, both of these methods are well documented on our VMware site. So I recommend that you familiarize yourself and identify which method you're going to be deploying prior to spinning up your software-defined data center if you are going to be testing the use case of cloud migration. Again, we are not going to go into very much into the details of the network requirements, but you want to make sure that your network engineers are familiar with the components of HCX and especially this particular drawing, as this will show them the requirements on the ports that they're going to have to open from on-premises over into VMware Cloud on AWS. Once HCX is up and running, you might want to start testing some of the abilities that HCX has to offer. For example, HCX has the ability to extend layer 2. And this is a requirement if you want to migrate workloads from on-premises to VMware Cloud on AWS via a live vMotion. In order to do this, we need to extend layer 2. So again, I recommend that you extend a couple of networks from on-premises over into VMware Cloud on AWS. And although it may sound like a simple thing to do, sometimes from my personal experience, I find that HCX is already installed. I have workloads that I'm able to migrate, but the network where those virtual machines that I'm going to be testing is being shared with production workloads, and I cannot extend that layer 2. So you want to make sure that if you are going to be extending layer 2, you have a subnet available to you that is not production and that will not hinder production workloads, and you're able to extend that over into VMC. Once you have established that layer 2 extension, you want to test live vMotion from on-premises to the cloud and from the cloud back to on-premises. This concludes this lesson on cloud migrations, where we have covered HCX components and features, the use cases for HCX, familiarize you with some of the requirements for installing HCX on-premises, and some of the things to test once HCX has already been installed. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in our last lesson, where we are going to be covering site recovery.